Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about some of the things that I do. I'm going to talk about a recent experience that I had that helped me kind of nail a listing appointment in a neighborhood I've been really trying to break into. So I am super excited about that. And I'll talk to you guys about what the difference was and what that seller told me. I also wanted to talk about really quick, has nothing to do with the listing appointments, but I want to make sure you guys go through your Instagram bios and do a quick little audit. We're going to do, Nikki doesn't know this yet, but we're going to do a modern agent blueprint on maximizing your Instagram accounts because, and like other accounts, but I just got another referral from somebody who just searched me on Instagram, looked up Ann Arbor agent and found me. So we need to make sure that all of your profiles are optimized to make sure that you're going to get referrals like this. So, I mean, it's a no-brainer. It's a call like, hey, I have a lady who wants to buy a house. She's moving there. Can I send you a referral? Yep, sure thing. You know, she just found me on Instagram. She's like, I just followed you. You look like you're a great fit. I'm like, okay, perfect. You know, like, I'm not going to say no to that. So we'll talk a little bit about that. Maybe next week we'll do one about Instagram audits and utilizing your social media for referrals like that. Because I get a lot of referrals like that. And I don't think it has anything to do with follower count because I was getting referrals like this when I had 1,000 followers versus 7,000. I don't think it matters whatsoever. As long as you're active and you're showing your face and you're talking and you're doing the stuff, you're going to get referrals.
And it's about the words that you have in your profile. Yep. It's having the name of the city and
keywords.
Realtor,
yeah.
The keywords.
I tell you what, I can't tell you, and we'll talk about this more next week, but I can't tell you how many times I have just looked at other realtors' profiles who follow me, couldn't tell you where they live, couldn't tell you what city they're in. How am I supposed to send you a referral if I don't know? Right. So
you won't even find them if you,
right, you won't find them, you won't be able, you won't know any difference, you won't know where they are.
Right.
You know, how are you going to go back? Because there's been plenty of times where I've gone in and searched in my own friends, followers or whatever, and found agents in different areas. So we'll talk about all that. So make sure you pop in next week. Okay, let's get started. It's 12:05. All right. Brooke, or you know what, Brooke, I'm going to make you co-host just in case. I'm not sharing anything. I feel like when we do like a presentation, it's just so like formal. So I like the idea of just kind of keeping it like open forum. So if like you guys have questions about something or you want to know, or you want to chime in, please feel free to do so. So let's start over. All right. Welcome everybody back to Modern Agent Blueprint. Today, we're going to be talking about being a confident closer. So I recently had a listing appointment that I felt like I just freaking nailed. And it helped to know that the agent before me completely bombed. And I started thinking about why that was and what happened. And I asked some questions about why they didn't want to go with that person. And so it was very interesting how people do things so differently. And I'm sure that the way Julie does her listing appointment versus Nikki versus Brooke are all going to be completely different, similar, but different. So I'll tell you the quick story about why I wanted to do this mastermind to begin with. But I went to this listing appointment. It's in a really nice neighborhood that I've been dying to get into. And this was like my first opportunity to have a listing in this neighborhood. I just started marketing in there. I am beyond excited about this listing appointment. So I came super prepared. I had all the stuff ready to go. I understood the neighborhood. I knew exactly, I knew what I was going in for. I didn't know how pretty the place was going to be, but I knew exactly what I wanted to portray. And I knew exactly what I wanted to say to them to have them choose me. But when I asked them, have you interviewed other agents? They said yes. I already knew that from the other agent who introduced me to these people. This was another referral from, actually from our eXp workplace. We have like a referral group within our organization, and it came from there. So I talked with the lady and I went over and I asked her, how have you've interviewed a couple people. There's one person who does a lot of business in this neighborhood. And they said, oh, you know what? We didn't even want to work with her. Reasons we won't discuss online. But then they said we did interview another agent, and She was not prepared. She kind of showed up with nothing. She had nothing in hand. She knew nothing about the neighborhood. She didn't even want to see the house. So she showed up and they were like, do you want a tour of the house? And she was like, no, I'm good. I think, yeah, I'm good. Let's just sit down. And they were just so taken aback by that it was a major turnoff for them. I mean, you're walking into a luxury property and you don't want to see the house to sell it. And it just came up like they were just so thrown off that they were like, whoa, okay.
Well, some people, not to interrupt, but some people, they think you should sit down first. And maybe that's where they went wrong, to sit down and have the discussion first, sorry.
Well, I mean,
before you ever tour it, which I'm of the other camp, is to get to know them as you're touring the house and finding out more about them and then sit down. But maybe that was there. And that's something we can talk about too.
And I think the agent showed up very confident that she wasn't really going to need to compete. And
was this an agent that you said was dominant in the area, or that was a different agent?
Somebody different.
So what made this agent think that they didn't need to be prepared?
I don't know. I can't really say for sure. And maybe it was
arrogance. Yeah. So your bar was low. Your bar was low. So no, I'm kidding.
I mean, kind of, and I mean, I went in with a normal listing appointment that I would have for a $100,000 house versus an $800,000 house. It's the same presentation that I do for everybody. It's the same stuff that I give to everybody. And, I just going into an appointment where I asked questions. I said, how did that last appointment go, before they even kind of gave me any info? And they said, well, we're interviewing you. So that's about how good it went. And I was like, okay, well, why is that? And they kind of just told me more. And I was like, okay, well, it makes sense then on why you are, looking for another option. So I'm happy to help. But we went into kind of like, I follow the seller's lead. If they ask me, if I see them in socks or I see them in little sandals, I'm taking my shoes off. I'm not walking in the house with shoes on. I still, even if they tell me I can leave my shoes on, I still say, no, I'm gonna take my shoes off.
I always say it's realtor religion. I just have to do it.
When I was trained, I was told to say my mom raised me better than that. Like, to say something about like how you were raised. Like, oh no, you never stepped. Like my mom would kill me if she knew I walked in your house with my shoes on, and then they kind of let it go.
Yeah, I think that is 100% true. Somebody just asked in the comments, yes, this is always recorded and it will be on YouTube and it'll go out in our newsletter as well. Okay, so I always follow the seller's leads. So if I walk in and they say, do you want to take a tour? Do you want to set things down? I'll say, yeah, you know what? Let me drop my stuff off. And I comment or compliment their house. I compliment something in there. Oh my gosh, this is so pretty. Look at this view. Oh my gosh, schmooze a little bit. And then let them show me the house. And I'll say, let me grab my notebook. I want to take notes as we go through the house, and then I'll follow them around and then I'll go and sit down. I do understand that there are some people who'd rather sit down, see if it's a good fit first, but it also throws people off if they're not interested in seeing the property that they're about to list.
They expect that comes first. Don't you feel like that? That's the first thing they want to do. First thing they want to do. You want to see the house, right? Yeah, of course.
I mean, we're a realtor, right? Yeah. Like, we got to know what we're selling here. And then how are you supposed to have a pricing conversation if you haven't even looked at the house? Or how are you supposed to move on to the next steps if you've brought nothing, you've got no social proof, you've got no professionalism, if you're just showing up empty-handed? So I never show up empty-handed, and we'll talk about the things that I bring, some of the stuff I implemented. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, right? Like, I don't win every single listing appointment, but it's few and far between that I don't get. So let's jump into one of the first things that I show to my clients. So after I come in, I do the tour of the house. I write down all my notes on the house. Even if I'm up against other realtors, I'm going into this appointment like I already have the listing. So I talk specifics. When we do photos, when I list your home, this is what I would do. This is what I suggest. And I go into it as if no questions asked, I am listing this house. And that usually helps, I think, with a lot of it too, is being confident in there without the arrogance, like Dave said, without the arrogance. But feeling, you know, and really trying to develop that rapport. If they have a dog, you better pet that dog. You know, if they have a cat, you better, you know, oh, I love cats. I don't care if you hate cats or not. You're going to act like you do.
And you better love that fur all over your pants too.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
you wore black.
I
I
always
go
like
as
to
far
show-
as to start measuring rooms. I'm like, I got my little measure thing out. I'm measuring rooms and writing down that too. And because you know, that doesn't take long with the laser measure. So now you already have it. You're already assuming the listing.
Yep. I mean, so I kind of got away from this. But I used to actually, like, if I got the phone call, hey, I want to list my house. Can you come over? We set the appointment. I would actually send them like a homework assignment. So they had to give me, it was 3 forms. One was a blank seller's disclosure, so they could print it out and fill it out in person. And then I would send a getting your home ready for photos, little like tear sheet, just like a short little sheet about doing some things to get ready for photos. And then I had a, things that I need for the listing. So, HOA information, who's the HOA management company, their phone number, their email, who do you use for electric, gas, internet? Like I had like a whole sheet of everything that I would ask for. And Brooke, this is something we can send out in the newsletter as well as like a little attachment for you guys. But it was always super helpful to have a little thing. And then like, so I'm hanging up the phone, I'm immediately sending them an email with, here's your homework to complete by the next appointment. If you don't have it completed, it's fine, we'll do it together. But then meeting them in person, and then usually they have all my stuff printed out, it's already on the table, they've already filled out disclosures for me, they've already done all the stuff. Are they really going to go and do all this with another realtor too? Probably not. So sending out that first email, it really kind of develops like a bit of rapport with them, because they're like, oh, she means business. She's not just showing up empty-handed. Like she is ready to go. So we'll attach that. I don't have a copy of that, but it's literally just a sheet that you can customize in Canva and put your logo on it and send it out. I just attach it to an email. But then when I get there, we do our little sit down. Now I got this idea from, Amanda Selling the Suburbs on Instagram. I love this idea of the paint can. In my opinion, I feel like it comes off a little cheesy. So I don't do the paint can anymore. If anyone wants to buy the empty paint cans, I have a bunch.
Explain what it is before you put it
I
away.
will. So it's
Okay.
a listing kit. It's a pre-listing kit. So my pre-listing kit is all in here. Now, I don't have my sticker on here because I'm not using these little buckets anymore, but it's a pre-listing kit. So I actually started doing this in just a clear plastic bag. The sticker goes on the front. All of this is from Amazon, you guys. Nothing crazy in here. So I'll show you guys everything that I put in here. So the little paint touch-up kits. So you can pull your paint out of the paint can in this, you put it in the little tube. It's got the little brush so you could touch up your baseboards or whatever. I tell people like, this is amazing just to keep on hand. Even if for some reason you choose not to use me, you get to keep this whole basket of stuff. It's a great thing to have. I have a magic eraser, again, for like baseboards, doors, etc. I do a couple Clorox wipes. I tell people these are great for after showings. You can wipe down all your handles and all that stuff. So it's great to have. Grove, this is a cleaner concentrate. There's actually 2 bottles in each box. And so I give them this, and then I forgot to grab one, but I have glass spray bottles. So it's a concentrate. So you put a little bit of this in there, fill the rest of the bottle up with water. It smells amazing. This is a lemon and eucalyptus one. So it smells amazing. All this stuff, this whole kit costs me like $6 total. I do also put in there like I had like a little thing of Lindor chocolates. So I put them in like a little plastic bag and stuck the Lindor chocolates in there too, with a little note that just says, thank you. This is a little ratchet, little ghetto, but I have these stickers, all these like moving stickers. I bought a whole pack on Amazon and tried to split them up between 2 different people, but it comes across kind of janky. So I didn't use this stack, but I had another stack that was nice and neat and everything all matched. So it was great to have. Stick that in there. So it's all the little stickers you can get. They actually on Etsy, they have a cute little, like a box of moving stickers. They're all individual stickers. I think it's like $10 for a box. So it's going to increase your price of the whole kit. But if it's something that you're like, oh, I like that idea, it's worth it. Then I actually went to Sherwin-Williams and I got their paint, like neutral paint colors. And I just stuck a sticker with my information on the back, a little business card. So I will stick this in there. They have them. They have neutrals, they have whites, they have all the different things. So these are cool neutrals, because I feel like cool neutrals are more kind of in style right now. But also you could grab some warm ones depending on their color scheme of their house. You could have a warm and a cool and just leave them with whichever one makes more sense for their property. And then I also grabbed a whole bunch of my favorite grays, grays, and white color palettes. So I just have a whole bunch of these, so I can bring these with me. If someone's like, yeah, I kind of want to paint my house, I'm thinking a white. Well, we don't want, hospital white. So why not give them a few choices on whites that vary based on whether it's warm, cool, or neutral. And then they have these right then and there, and they could just, you're picking the color for them at that point. So then you don't have to worry about them going and picking the most god-awful color you've ever seen. So, and what's trending right now. We know what looks good. We know what's like considered like the, I don't know, the colors that we don't necessarily want to see are the ones that we see all the time. But so I put together like all these neutrals, like some of them, I don't know if it's going to be easy to see, but some of them look more green, especially in this lighting. Some look more green, some look more gray, some look more blue, but you can kind of help them decide based on their flooring and all that stuff. So you're coming in as like you're giving them a consultation. So if you're thinking about painting, I have a bunch of different swatches we could look at too, if you're interested. So I kind of tuck those in there. You can take those home with you if you want to, or just leave the whole stack in there. They're free. Just go to Home Depot and get them. Or go to Sherwin-Williams and grab a whole bunch. But I also, if I have time, like I said, I'll put the chocolates in here. I used to put a handful of Smartie candy in here, and I would say, and of course Smarties, because you're really smart for calling me, and just made a little joke out of it. And they always laughed and thought it was cute or cheesy, one or the other. But either way, they liked it. You could put different things in here. You could put your seller's guide in there. You could put a tarot card in there about you and your business. You could put anything, moving checklists, like where you need to change your address, like anything like that could go right in this little bag. And then I also bring my folder. I got to work through my last 10 folders before I order new ones with my new logo, but I made these on Zazzle. So you can put your own logo on the front. I have my EXP logo on the back. You can do whatever you want. The only complaint I have, I don't know if you could see it, but you get fingerprints all over these. I know Dave and I
went back to white. I went back to white because anytime I touch them, then they're full of fingerprints.
I ordered black and white. So I had white folders. I used all the white ones. Now I'm on to the black ones. And yet the only complaint I have is that. Now, Zazzle is the cheapest that I found custom folders at. Could you just buy plain black folders and put a sticker on it? Sure. Could you just use a black folder in general, or a white folder, or a color folder that matched your branding? Absolutely. But I like these. And then I actually got away from putting the business cards on the inside, and I use that same sticker here. This is old information, obviously. Well, you don't know my branding, but this is my old branding. But it's got my QR code, it's got all my information. So I would just take this sticker and put it on the inside of my folder. That way they're not going to lose it. It's stuck right in there.
You can actually get the designs for those folders where that leaf is actually designed in the, so mine are printed right on the leaf.
Yeah, I like that too. I think you showed me that, and I didn't even know that was an option. So I love that idea too. That way you're not even having to worry about any of that. You could also get, they're custom, so I could put my branding on the back. I could do whatever I wanted. I just made these really quickly without really thinking about it. So that would be my other pro tip, is think about things before you print them. Make sure that you are thinking it through. But
don't change your branding every other year. No.
Listen, that was
I
a
know.
low blow, Julie. 3 or 4 times I had to change branding last year. So let's not even go to that. Let's not even talk about that. But that was one of the first mistakes I made in real estate when I first got my license is I created my logo. I did all the stuff. I bought all the things, bought 6 listing signs, for sale signs. I bought all the stuff. And then 6 months later, I was like, I hate this logo. I hate everything about it. It's not me. And changed everything and had to rebrand. Oh, Dave got his folder. Nice.
So,
Oh yeah, that looks nice. Where are yours from?
I'll have to look up where I printed them from, but
Was
my
that your
designer,
logo?
I had a designer actually design this for me, so all that was part of the design.
I love how the logo's on the right side too, get repeatedly.
Yeah,
I
look
like
at
that
that.
too.
Oh, this? Yeah, that's how he did my business cards.
Very
Yeah,
cool.
because
I
your
like
business
that.
cards on the back are like that, right?
Yeah,
What about the fingerprints? That drives
I
me-
know, it is annoying. I don't really know what to do about it, but
I don't either.
so business card, I'm gonna update them again when I get that new photo shoot photos, and then on the back, same thing. It was all, but it's part of just hiring a good designer, like, or just having the idea yourself. I mean, I've known this guy for years, so.
I am cheap and won't hire anybody to do any of my stuff. So that's not gonna happen.
Also, they wouldn't do it as well as you can, because I know that.
I am very, very particular, as a lot of you know. Okay, so my guides, I cannot give you guys these guides. I found them on Etsy, and you guys can go on Etsy and find them yourself. I'm happy to provide the link to Etsy for where I bought these, but it's a buyer guide and a sold guide. Now I have edited the crap out of these. This is not how they came. The cover's even different. I have a marketing guide. We'll talk about that in a minute. But I have all my stuff matches. So the only thing I will complain about is I screwed up on my transparency on the 2 pictures in the back. So they're not exactly the same. And that drives me bananas. So we'll be fixing that for the next round of printing. But I print all of my guides on, they're nice, like ASMR, on some nice, like cardboard thick paper instead of like the flimsier ones. I've done the flimsier ones in the past. I just happen to like these. It's taken me a while, and I can guarantee you I will probably order the wrong ones again, but I really like the harder ones. I have been ordering all of my printing stuff like this from Best Value Copy. I feel like they are the cheapest with the highest quality. I will say, every single time I try to print something, there is an issue that I need them to resolve, but they fix it for me. And it's usually something that I did. Like I uploaded a document that was 14 pages when it was supposed to be 16 pages, things that they have to have in order to print the guide. Otherwise, you're gonna have blank pages. So it's usually things like that. But point being, make sure you're not printing it and needing it within a week, because it's going to take, once you upload it, it takes a couple days to process, then they have to fix it with their designer, then they send you the proof. So just make sure you're printing in advance so you're not stressed out at the last minute. But my sold guide, now when I'm sitting down with my clients, my main goal is to develop rapport. I want them to like me. I want to like them. So I want to know more about them. What's their timeline? Why are they moving? What's most important to them? Is it price? Is it timeline? Is it, we want to be settled? That's another thing that I have really started changing my verbiage is, when do you want to be settled in your new place? Because if you just say like, when do you want to move? That doesn't, they could say, well, this time, but when in reality, their kid is starting school in September and they want to be settled by the end of August so the kid can start at school in September. So we need to make sure that we are considering the fact of when they want to be settled. Cheryl, do you have a question?
Yeah, I just have a quick question on your like seller's guide, because I do them too. I do like the way yours are bound, but I've seen some that I don't like that. Obviously, you like the way those are. What do you ask for? Like, what is
It's
that called?
stapled.
Huh?
It's a
Just
stapled
stapled?
saddle stitch. Yeah.
Okay. And
It's
that's
just
just the option with that company?
Yeah, you can staple it. They can do like the binding. They can do the like string, the tape.
Okay.
They have a bunch of different options. I just do, mine is only like I mean, it's not that many pages long, so
Gotcha.
the
Okay.
staple works just fine.
Okay.
I've had no problems. My buyer guide is a little bit thicker and I still have no issues with the staples ever.
Okay. Cool. Thanks.
So anyway, I'm trying to develop rapport and I want to make sure that I understand what's most important to them in the home sale. And obviously knowing if they need to be contingent, some of the stuff that questions we have to ask them to make sure that we are really setting the tone so they feel heard. Obviously, that is the biggest thing, is they are hiring us to do their job or to do the job. So we need to make sure that we understand what's most important to them in the end. One thing that I do like to ask them, I kind of go through all of this stuff, or maybe depending on how the conversation is flowing, I might ask them, what are some of the things that you're looking for in a listing agent? What are your non-negotiables? So in this situation, the listing that I had the other day, or the listing appointment I had the other day, I had already talked to the lady on the phone and I had said, a little bit about me. I know you don't know me, but I sell, 30 to 45 houses a year. Typically, I usually do about this much production. I'm about 50-50 buyer sellers. Last year and so far this year, I'm pretty heavy on the listing side, but I definitely still handle a lot of buyers. I make sure that they know that they are going to be with me the whole time, that I don't pass them off to someone on my team. I kind of just give them a little bit of information, but I always like to tell them too some of my core values. So I say, one of the biggest things with me is I'm really big on integrity, honesty, and open communication. I feel like those are my 3 things that I will do my very best to make sure you feel like I am communicating with you thoroughly and quickly and effectively, and that you understand everything that's happening during the whole process. Integrity and ethics are number 1 for me. So you can know that I'm going to do things the right way throughout the whole transaction and putting your best interest first. And honesty. Sometimes we have to have honest conversations, whether it's pricing or maybe the house smells like dog. I need to let you know so you know what's going on. So if something's going to be a problem down the line, you need to know about that up front. So usually when I just say that kind of stuff, they're like, oh, okay, that's great. So in this situation, I had that conversation prior to on the phone. So when I got there, I asked them the same question. What are things that are really important to you? And they said, one of the first things they said was honesty and integrity. And I was like, okay, well, perfect. You already got that. I already talked to your wife about that. And here's why I feel like that's important. And they went on to tell me about an agent in their area who that is not one of their core values. And it was a big turnoff for them and a turnoff to a lot of people in that area. So it was very important for them to know that those are things that are important to me as well. So if you have some core values in your business, make sure that you are telling them, because they're not going to know. They might not read your whole seller guide if you have something in there about your mission or your core values. They might not know that. So you need to make sure you're voicing those things, because you never know how important that could be to the conversation or to them as sellers. All right, so going through my seller guide really quickly. I'm not going to go through the whole thing because it's going to be backwards for you and everything, but and I didn't want to present everything again because I bought these on Etsy and I don't want somebody to feel like I am, trying to sell their stuff, but
It isn't backwards, by the way.
oh,
So,
it's not?
no.
Oh, good. Okay,
Yeah.
so like I said, I have bought multiple Etsy things and I have combined a lot of that. So this is not going to be what you are going to buy, just so you know. So like this beginning page, I actually think this is from Molly. Oh my gosh, what's Rodham? I actually think that I took this first page from one of her guides. The next page is my agent. So this is just a little bit about me and what it's like to work with me as an agent. I have agent responsibilities that talks about expert guidance, responsiveness, accountability, and loyalty. This is a page I do go over with them at the listing appointment. If we get to the point of, I feel like I need to go through this, the conversation is not going to be enough. I really want to show them some of the stuff. I always joke that I'm not going to read this page for page. This is great bedtime material. If they want to read this before bed, they can, but I'm not going to go through it and read every line. I just say I want to touch base on my responsibilities to you as a seller I talk about the timeline. So I have a buyer or a seller timeline down here. The next few pages just go into detail about that timeline. I have my branding photos in here. I talk about professional photos and how that is a non-negotiable. I do talk all the time, especially if I have seen terrible photos in their neighborhood, I will bring that up. I saw a listing that's in your neighborhood around the corner. Their photos were horrible. Did you see those pictures? And they're always like, yes, oh my God, it's awful. I always talk about how, you know, I make sure to mention things like, you know, you're paying me for a reason. So one of my jobs is to market the property the best that I possibly can. And that's going to be with professional photos, videography, you know, doing all the things that are going to help your house be seen by a lot of buyers and in the best light possible. This talks about open houses, offer presentation. I do talk to them about how I present offers, so they know that if we get an offer in hand, they will be notified right away. What happens if we have multiple offers? I talk about all of that and how I handle multiple offer situations. We talk about contingencies, closing days, and then on the back here, this is another description of me, some of my accomplishments, some of the things I've been featured in. A whole, like my education, you know, all the letters behind our names. And then the back, I've had this for a long time. I couldn't even tell you. It's from an Etsy thing, but I couldn't tell you where I got it from. But it's got a couple testimonials on the back. I think it looks very blurry. But it's really cute and it's just a nice back to it. My other ones don't have as cute of a back to them, but they at least have a bunch of different information on me. And I like that it's got the testimonials too. They're short and sweet, but it's good to have on there. And I have a good mix of buyer and seller on here. So this goes in there. And then I also have, this is all going in my folder. I have social proof, again, real producers. So if you guys have real producers in your area, if you're featured in Real Producers, which sometimes all you got to do is reach out to the people who run Real Producers and say, hey, how do I get in the magazine? Like, is there a way that I can like nominate myself or can I nominate someone else? Sometimes they just need, you know, they don't always know who to pick. So if you have Real Producers and typically they're like rising star, I think is what, Julia, 3 million or 5 million or something? Do you know?
It's 5.
Something like that. You just have to talk to your person. To be on the cover, I think it's like 15 or something like that, 15 million in production. But so this is when I was rising star. And so when you print reprints, they give it to you and it makes it look like you're on the cover, which is kind of nice. And then your article goes in here. And so this is something nice. And I usually just say, I always put this in here. I'm not gonna, like, again, if you want to read it, it's great. It's an article that was written about me in a magazine that's for realtors. It just talks about the top producers in the area. So if you want to see that, that's in here for you as well. I don't really like go into detail on that too much. I have the photographer that I use is Window Still Photography. So if you're Southeast Michigan, actually they're all over the place. They have a lot of different locations. So if they're available in your area, there's some of the best photographers I've worked with. What I love about them is they have these little booklets that you can get for free. So if your photographer doesn't have something like this, you should highly suggest it, because I can put this right in my little seller guide and it talks about getting your home ready for photo shoots, and it goes like room by room, exterior, interior. And so you can have this, you can say, listen, you can go room to room and just check off the boxes if you want to. If you don't want to do the check boxes, you can at least just see what sellers or what buyers really want to look at. So this is a great way to do that. I used to have a flyer that had all that stuff on it too. But I feel like this works just as well and I don't have to print it.
Where did you get that from? Window Still?
Window Still Photography. Yeah.
They just give them to you if you ask for them?
Yeah, you just order them. Yeah.
I just sent them a message on Facebook, right through the Facebook group. Someone's always monitoring that Facebook page for Window Still, and then they just send them right to my house.
You can also, you can email info@windowstill.com and they'll send it to you. But this is really helpful to have. So here's my other little tip and trick. So I lost a listing one time because I didn't have a marketing team. Nobody needs to know that you don't have a marketing team. Your marketing team is your photographer, your Canva, you, like you are your marketing team. So I have started changing my verbiage a little bit to say my marketing team and I do this for you. And so Windowsill, one of the things that they do is they give you a website that is customized to that house specifically. Now, people love that because it's only their house. So it's not like we're marketing their house and the house down the street and the house down the street and the house on, on the other block. It's great because it's, yes, info@windowsillphotography. Yes. That is the right email. So they give you all your photos, depending on what package you buy. They give you all your photos. They give you your, like a bunch of social media posts that you can post. They give you like just sold, just listed, all kinds of stuff. They give you, if you want to put it on Pinterest, they have that. They give you all kinds of stuff, but they create a single page website for your house specifically. So you can go in, you can change the, like maybe there's a weird photo of like the washer and dryer or a weird angle. You can remove certain media that you don't want to be shown, which is great. You can add, so I add the seller's disclosures, I add the lead-based paint form, I add any updates list that they gave me. You can add in all kinds, anything that you want, all your PDFs you can upload right there. So I tell people, I tell my sellers, I'm creating this special website just for you. It's only marketing your house. So when my people, oh, I need to grab it out of my bag, but oh, Dave, thank you.
Did I overtake?
Go ahead, show.
Did
'Cause
I
I need to grab something.
Sorry about that. So yeah, if you go to right here, I just figured it would be easier if you could show them. Those are all the properties in the back. You can hit site media, and then here's where you can change all your photos if you need to. Print materials. I think this is where, yeah, they automatically, you can create flyers right from their website. Site summary. I think this is where you would do, nope.
No, go to
Site
site
media.
media. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
site-
scroll down. So right there, you can upload attachments. So like I upload my seller's disclosures there. If there's an update list, like let's say they want to sell their furniture or they want to sell their boat. You could put all that stuff on here because this is marketing just to their property.
And
You
then
could
on
also,
site
put
data,
the
you can
commission
put all
on there
this.
if you wanted to put that out there for people, because this is not the MLS.
And I usually send this directly to the client when it's done, because if you look at the website itself, it looks really cool because it does this. If you have a video, the video will be there, but it gives them an idea of what it's going to look like for them. So it just looks more impressive for the client.
So I just saw the comment in there. No, I don't upload this to YouTube because it's a website. So a listing video, yes, I would upload to YouTube. But so Dave was showing you all that. So let me show you guys what I do with that website. So when I have a listing, I have two different things on the counters at all times. There will be either, if I have time, they're going to get a booklet with all their listing photos, their seller's disclosures are in here. I do all of this again through that best value copy. If I can do that, I'm going to do that. If I don't have time for that, I do a one pager. The back will either have the seller's disclosures, which they're tiny because you have to put 2 pages on here. Or if they have a lot of updates, I'll put the list of updates, what they love about the neighborhood, anything to kind of fill in this back page. I usually try to do seller's disclosures though, because that is one thing. I don't know about you, but I don't print a seller's disclosure when I go to a listing or when I go to a showing. So if I can have that, and I feel like it's great for agents too, because sometimes we're not prepared to go to a listing or we go to a showing. So we can say, oh, yep, look at, they have all the disclosures here. Oh, the roof was done in 2020, so you have that right there. So it also helps you as an agent too. So I'm kind of doing like a double whammy there. Now, the other thing I do is I will print out something like this. So this goes on the counter in an acrylic frame that I bought on Amazon. This is a template. All I do is swap out the photo and swap out the QR code. So the QR code goes to the site that Dave just showed. going to go to that website. So it's got everything. So on here, it says scan for website and disclosures. So you know, we know as agents, there are two types of people. The people who want to hold something and want to walk away with something, and the people who want to use their phone and don't want to carry around paper. So we're hitting them on two different fronts. Take this if you want, but if you don't want, you can scan this code and you'll have all the information. And then the buyer also, you know, buyer and agent have your information too if they want to scan that. But think about it, the buyer, maybe they need to sell a property too. And they're like, wow, I really like that agent's marketing. They could use you to be the listing agent and use their agent to be a buyer agent. You know, like that is something that can happen in this market, as we know. But I always like to do the booklets. I always save at least one booklet for my clients. I put it in their closing stuff, so then they have it as well. But they love this. Same thing, I'll save like the one pager thing for them to keep as well. But this stuff all goes in a folder that I bring with me to my showing or to my listing appointment, just to show some of the print marketing I do. If you do postcards, if you do mailers, if you do anything like that, put that in your folder too. So this is like kind of my marketing folder. I also show some things that other people have done in the past where somebody wanted, the house was in a neighborhood where the school wasn't rated great. And so she was really self-conscious about that and nervous about that, because she's like, I don't want people to not buy this house because the elementary school is not great. So I'd like to showcase some of the stuff that the school does. So we printed out a thing. She gave me all the information and I just put it on a sheet, and I put this on an acrylic frame on the counter. It just talks about some of the different things that they did at the school, some like the end of the year party, their fun run, their movie night, Kona ice cream truck. So like this kind of stuff, if you have a neighborhood that does a lot of fun stuff, or you have like, again, a school that you want to make sure that that's focused on, that's something that I did. We talked about, this was a newer construction home. They talked about all of the upgrades that they chose when they built it, and then the upgrades that they did after they moved in. They talked about the neighborhood itself, that they do, you know, they have an annual yard sale. They do Flamingo Fridays, which are backyard parties during the summer. Somebody hosts a backyard party every Friday, and you just go to that house and you mix and mingle in the neighborhood. They talk about the block party, the Easter egg hunt. So the things that are cool about that neighborhood that people wouldn't know, and that a lot of us agents might not know about just going to a showing. So having something like this is super beneficial for both buyer and seller agents. So these are things that I bring to showcase some of the stuff that I do. I go through my seller guide like I showed you. I always bring a home warranty guide or a home warranty order form. If you guys don't, America's Preferred Home Warranty is a great company. I don't know what state everybody's in here, but this is one for Southeast Michigan. Again, you can order all of these things for free directly on their website. They'll send you everything right to your house. I have magnets, which I try to remember to put on the house or on the fridge during the final walkthrough if I know that they ordered one. But they give you magnets. As a listing agent, there are riders that you can put on your signs. There are tabletop cards, little tent cards that you can put out on, like by the washer and dryer or by the furnace or something, just so people remember, hey, this house comes with a home warranty. I also bring kind of a back pocket type thing, but I bring a certificate for a home organizer, or like somebody who could help with like packing, just kind of getting rid of things, a little bit of home staging, stuff like that. So if you know, if part of your marketing is that you want to offer something like this, you could just have these printed, or you could contact the company directly and have them. This is from Tidy Smart Organization Solutions. She sent me some of these. So you could ask for something like this. Now, it says it's good for one consultation. You will have to pay that consultation fee. So just be prepared. Whatever their consultation fee is, just make sure you know it in advance. But if they choose to hire them, then they will pay them directly. but there's a lot of different organization companies and stuff like that that you can use that are really helpful. Hold on a second. Bean, get down. Sorry, my cat trying to dig in the plant again. Telling you what, have cats, they said. Hold on a second. I gotta spray him. Okay, got him. Sorry. I also bring, so this is a scout guide. I am featured in this scout guide. So this is one for Ann Arbor. They have these in different like cities and states, kind of depending on where you're at. But because I'm featured in it, I have a whole box of these. So I like to bring these too. They're kind of cool because they can just be like tabletop books for somebody who wants it. But this is just something that shows like different companies in the area. So it's something just a little extra. I do show them that I'm advertising in it. So this is something that I just add in as a little extra. So if you do like, I know Julie does a magazine. I do them too. I do from Reminder Media, I do the, what is it called? Like
There's
something
different sorts
Good
of
Home or
categories you can.
something.
I do the healthy living one. I know there's other categories.
Yeah,
Well,
I
it
do
doesn't,
mine
it's
as
like
a
a real estate magazine. Mine's more like a healthy living. It has recipes in it, but it's got tear-offs for recipes. It's got my branding on the back. So that's something that goes out to past clients, but I also include it in my listing presentation too.
Yeah, I do. I think mine is called Good to Be Home or something like that. Like there's 3 different types of magazines you can choose. So I mail them out to my past clients, but this time they're going to actually mail me some for myself. So then I can put them in my things as well. My seller bags, my buyer bags, whatever. But it's really nice to have all that because again, it's just social proof. And when you do the Reminder magazines, Reminder Media magazines, your picture's on the front, your logo's on the front. It says compliments of your name. The magazine is like a set magazine, but you can choose the tear out card. So I usually pick recipes that I like. They have alcohol ones, they have food, they have like, let's say it's spring or summer, they have like barbecue ones, they have all kinds of stuff, desserts, but the cards can also be like home seller tips, different things. You can pick a category and you can choose whatever you want, whatever fits your branding. I like the food ones because I personally think that I would save the recipes more so than something else, but whatever you choose, you can do. And I think I pay like $2.50 a quarter, maybe. It depends on how often you mail them out. And I think your minimum is 50 magazines to mail out. So you pick your 50 past clients you want to mail them to, or they suggest doing like 25 you could change them out per quarter if you wanted to. That sounds like a headache, but you can go in and change them if you want to, and then you can grab some for yourself. And they suggest taking them to like your dentist's office, your doctor's office, attorney, wherever, like taking them to places that people might look at magazines. However, I can't remember the last time I've been to a doctor's office or something where they had magazines. Most people are on their phones. So I have chosen to just keep them for my clients. But again, up to you and your marketing in your area. Maybe your dentist office and stuff still does magazines, but let me go through my marketing guide. So this is something that I think sets me apart from a lot of other agents. We can talk about what marketing we do all day long, but showing the marketing you do is another story. So if you have like a YouTube page that gets a lot of views, you need to put that in something to show or to prove, hey, this is what I'm doing. If you have, if you run Instagram or Facebook ads and it shows thousands and thousands of views, people want to see that. They want to know that you're going to be able to get that same kind of views for their stuff as well. So this is my marketing guide. Again, I don't know where I got this from. I want to say it is a hybrid from something that 𝗏𝗏, she's on Instagram, you can look her up, did, plus some of the stuff I did myself. I changed these up so much and it's a whatever, you know what I mean? It's a mashup of a bunch of different things. But anyway, so this marketing guide shows preparing to market your house, the different things that I do. So it talks about professional photos, virtual walkthrough, floor plans and measurements, because I will say, I don't know about you guys, but every time I feel like I have people who ask me for floor plans. People want to see floor plans, especially if you are in a market where you get a lot of relos. People want to see, they might not be buying from, they might be buying from Texas and they want to know what the floor plan looks like in the house. So I highly suggest doing floor plans with measurements. It talks about how I'm going to offer expert advice on pricing strategies, digital marketing to maximize their online presence, how they're going to have lock boxes to track showings, postcards, QR codes, 140-point checklist from contract to close, like all the different things that we do. Weekly report on marketing efforts and results. So that is something that I promise, and I need to be better about making sure that I'm sending out those weekly reports, because we're in a market now where things are sitting just a little bit longer. So making sure that they know what you're doing so they don't feel like you're doing nothing. This just talks about digital marketing, the benefits of digital marketing. So this shows some of the stuff that I do. So this is all professional video, YouTube marketing, and this is like a picture from one of my listing videos that I just put up there. Email marketing, so I show a little clip of one of my Flowdesk emails that go out, and some print marketing that I've done before that shows like love your neighbor, like inviting them to the open house that I'm going to be having. Again, things you have to kind of do in advance. If you're going to print and mail all these things, you have to be prepared in advance. Instagram marketing, I talk about how I have, I have a pretty good following on Instagram, so I'm going to be marketing to them. Targeted Facebook ads. So I make sure that it's kind of a jab at some agents, but I talk about how, a lot of agents will say that they market your home on the internet, but all they're really doing is posting to their personal page. They're not doing anything else. And that's not really marketing. It is presenting their home to their following, but how do we get it in front of more eyes? So I talk about my targeted Facebook ads. For those with EXP, I do the KV Core boosted property. My only issue with that is that you can't customize the verbiage on it, which drives me insane. But if you do your own targeted ads, you could obviously run your ads however you want, as long as you're following their protocols. We talk about the virtual walkthroughs. I blew some clients' mind with these. They had never seen the virtual walkthroughs. They were like, that is the coolest thing I have ever seen in my life. I have never seen something like that. They just thought, they raved about how cool that was.
Like the interactive floor plan?
Yeah, where you like go to the dots
Yeah.
and it moves you around,
Yeah.
and you can, the 360. The mega open house, I talk about how depending on whether we're, if it's a, hot summer day, having the Kona ice cream truck come. I know Cheryl's done that several times. Julie's done that. Those are great ideas to have something like that. Or I've done a coffee truck where they had, iced coffees and smoothies and stuff that came. And I split it with a lender. The lender came with me to the open house, and it was great because we invited the whole neighborhood too. So we sent out flyers to the whole neighborhood inviting them. But that mega open house, that is something obviously takes some planning and it's a little bit more money. But if you have a great listing in a great neighborhood, it's a good way to show how you're different than the other agents. And then I talk about that property website, and I talk about the marketing and how we do that. Then I also talk about down here, it's so blurry, I don't know why, but that is my appraisal pack. So I talk about how a lot of agents really ignore the appraisal process, and that is part of my job, is to help sell your house for the most amount of money. So I make it a special point to go to the appraisal and make sure that the appraiser has all the information that we think is necessary for them to know to price your property or to value your property where we want it. So I do have my appraisal pack on Etsy that you can buy if you want it, but it shows, you can't really tell in this picture, but it's got a QR code that goes to the property view of all the photos that my professional photographer took. It talks about multiple showings, how many offers we had, how they were multiple offer, or how they were over asking, whatever it may be. I give like 5 bullet points of 5 selling features of that house or that neighborhood, or why it's, this is something that's important. So like, The kitchens were updated, the hardwood floors were refinished, or maybe it's new floors or updated bathroom or whatever it might be. Things that are going to add value to that appraisal, I want to make sure it's in there. I give them the stats like 4-bedroom, 3-bath, 2,400 square feet, whatever. So that is, I show a picture of that. And that is something, and I talk about, I said, most agents don't do this. This is something that I do because you're hiring me and paying me a commission for a reason. And I want to make sure that I am doing everything that I can to get you the most amount of money. And that's part of what I do. We talk about behind the scenes stuff that happens that I'm doing, researching tax records, researching zoning and deed restrictions. Obviously, a lot of this stuff is what title does, but they need to know that that's what we're doing in the background because we're working as a team with the title company. So it just really talks about different things that we're doing, like sending out, like I tell people, we have a large local team here. And so when I have listings, a lot of our team will share those listings. So even though I just knocked using Facebook, I said, I'm like, that's if I only posted it on mine. But if I have 40 other agents locally or more who are sharing your property out, not only is it getting to my people, it's going to all of theirs as well. Plus I'm running the targeted ads. So you're getting your house on a lot of people who likely would not have even seen it, or maybe they don't realize they want to move until they see your house. So we want to make sure that it's getting seen by as many people as possible. So when I go through all of that, a lot of people are like, wow, that answers a lot of questions. Yeah, the other agent didn't show us any of this stuff, so I think that having those kind of things and going in prepared, I know I go in there, before I go to my listing appointment, I pull my comps. I have a range in mind for pricing on what I want, what I think that they should price at. If you're lucky, there's other comps that have sold nearby. If not, sometimes you got to go with your gut. But I always print out the public record information. So it shows me their taxes, who's on title. It shows me the basics of their house, what size and square footage and all the stuff. It gives me a little bit of information. This has also caught some issues before with names being wrong or certain people showing on title that shouldn't have showed on title. Once I know that I'm going to have the listing and I have a listing contract, I always do pre-title. So I pull pre-title work right away. So then if there's any issues on title, we know within the first week before we get into the weeds. And that I've had issues. So it's very helpful to pull pre-title, especially if it's an old house, they've lived there for 50 years or something, or maybe it was grandma's house and, they took it over when grandma died. Make sure that you're running pre-title to make sure that you know all of the information prior to hopefully going live, or at least in the very beginning stages of being live on the MLS. I know we are already at an hour, so we can keep going, but real quick, does anybody have any other questions or anything that they do differently in their listing appointments, like different things that they share or talk about? I feel like my open forum was mostly me.
I feel like you just weren't thorough enough, Nicole. I don't know. A lot of unanswered questions.
Well, that QR code thing that you do to take you to the window still site, that is one of the things I like to do right at the beginning, just because people are always impressed with technology, right? So if I have one of those I bring from a previous listing, and I'll say, yeah, I'll put these around your house so you can scan it, and I'll have them scan it real time in front of me. So it brings up the window still, and I'll say, this is my last listing, and then they can scroll through it. So it also involves them in an interaction with the technology.
Yeah. I think that's a great idea. Anybody else do anything differently or have any other things that they do that has really driven home a listing? I know, Julie,
Well, so I've got one, the appointment's next week. So stay tuned. It was a referral, but she used the words, yeah, we're just kind of looking for agents now. I'm like, no. I'm trying to preemptively strike this looking for other agent idea. And so not only did I send a Starbucks gift card to the gal who referred me, I also sent flowers to the home. She's in South Carolina because they've already built their next home and she's there and her husband's here, but she'll be here next week. So it makes sense. It made sense to me to, you know, send her kind of like a housewarming flower arrangement stating, you know, congrats on your beautiful home. Looking forward to meeting you next week. So I didn't want to leave that to chance, hoping that she doesn't even call anybody else to interview while she's in town. So I did that. And then Nicole, you didn't touch on this, but I know you probably do it, is sending out information in advance, because how much time do we have, right? And we want to spend time measuring the rooms and looking at the house, and there's so much to talk about. And I don't want to be the one to sell myself when I'm there. So I try to pre-sell myself in advance. And I use Windows still, High Note, it's called. It's a visual tool. It's like sending an email, except you don't have like 20 links to open. It's a more visual experience for the seller. And a lot of this stuff that Nicole showed you, I've done in advance. I will still bring the seller guide with me. I will still bring the listing presentation with me. I love your marketing guide. That's something I don't have in such a condensed format as you do. And I'm going to pick your brain and work on that one. But I have my reviews. I have my production. I have links to the videos, the professional videos that I've done of listings, the photos, the interactive floor plan, probably 20 assets I'm showing them in advance, and there's analytics behind it. So I know, in fact, the gal I sent the flower arrangement to, she opened it like 4 times yesterday. So I know she's very, very involved in looking at it. So that's something, takes the pressure off in advance to know that they've already looked at a lot of these things before I got there. And then they can ask me questions on stuff that they might want to know. So
Yeah,
Nicole put the link for the
I
pricing
put the
in there.
link for High Note. Yeah, so I don't do the High Note beforehand, but it is something I started and never finished it, because it is, if you guys don't know what High Note is, I could show you really quickly how I use High Note. Let me open it up really quick and I'll show you how I use it.
The one thing I will note with High Note, pardon the pun, is you have to let them know. First of all, I text it. And then I also say, check your email too. And if you happen not to see it, check your spam, because there's so many links involved here that it's highly likely that's where it's going to go. So, but you can copy it and send it to their cell phone too. And then it's easier for them to look at, I believe, on their laptop. But a lot of times it goes to spam and you have to check, have them check for it.
So all of this is customizable. So I have like a template that I have a buyer template and a seller template, and I will just keep duplicating and changing things out as I go.
You just copy it and create a new one. You have kind of like a master, kind of like maybe you would do in
So I don't
Canva.
even really have a master. I just use like, so if I know somebody has like well and septic, then I'll use one that I know has had well and septic in the past. So then those inspectors and everybody are in there already.
So you're using it for buyers and sellers, but not using it for pre-listing?
Correct. So I should do that because I do like that idea.
Yeah, for sure.
So this is if like for a seller. So this is, I usually send this to them after they've already accepted an offer. So all I do on this is something I wrote up. I change out the name and I change out the house, the name.
Don't forget to change the name.
Yes. And sometimes it doesn't always save. So you have to be careful.
Yeah.
I created these images in Canva and I just keep it the same. So I'm going to run through really quick. See how they're all the same?
Oh, I should show mine because mine's different. You can create a different cover for each of these assets,
or the link that you add will automatically show if you don't choose a cover photo.
But I see why you do what you're doing, and you're just going from one step to the next. So there's a lot of applications for High Note. As you can see, it's really just a visual group of different assets, different links. It could be a link, it could just be a photo, it could be whatever you want it to be in each of those spots.
Yeah. What's nice though is, so I used to have like one of those like you're under contract now what emails, and it was so long and there were so many, like how many times can you bold and highlight something before somebody's like just ignores it? So this is, here's your contract information. So when they see it, there's a thing that says like view link, and it goes to a PDF of all the documents they've signed, my documents and the buyer documents. it shows us that, you know, we've signed these agreements here. This is our title company. You're going to hear from them soon. Inspection, they have 7 days to do the inspection. Appraisal, a little bit of information about the appraisal. It does talk about that nobody should be home for the inspection or for the appraisal, all that. This goes into a little bit more information. Keep your utilities active until you turn your keys over. I remind people that there's going to be quiet time between appraisal and closing. Doesn't mean nothing's happening. It
That's
just means
smart,
it's
because
gonna
people are
get
like, what is she
quiet.
doing? She's not
Yeah.
doing anything.
I asked them to order their final water bill, then I asked them to not pay the water bill, do it however your area does it. I talk about the final walkthrough, our targeted closing date, and then, so like, I hid this, so occupancy after closing. So if somebody has occupancy after closing, I add this in there, so they have that. But that is one,
You can also do this for buyers,
yeah,
obviously.
so
Same-
here's a
same thing,
buyer
different-
one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you've got the buyer too.
So again, all I'm doing is changing out the top portion. Again, their contract information. This is about the loan process, about like the commandments of your loan. Don't buy a car, don't buy vacation, don't do anything crazy that's going to affect your credit. When in doubt, ask your lender. This talks about where the earnest money deposit, where it needs to go, how they need to do it, our title company, who the contacts are, scheduling inspection. I do give my 3 recommendations for inspectors. And I, you know, sometimes it's looking up the area they're in and finding inspectors who have great reviews, whatever it may be, or somebody, maybe you check with your team to see if anyone has worked in that area with somebody. I include in here that we're one big team, that we're working with the lender and the title company, that they need to order their appraisal with their lender. Again, more appraisal information, their homeowner's insurance, reminding them again of quiet time. I tell them this is a great time for you to start packing, get ready. Final walkthrough, turning on utilities. I make sure that they do not turn on utilities right away. Make sure that they keep that, like wait until they're a couple days out, because I don't know about you guys, but DTE has a tendency of screwing things up in our area and turning things on and shutting them off the wrong time. So I always tell them to wait. Targeted close date. And then congrats, you bought a house. And then this just says, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate. So this is a great way to.
So why don't you use it for pre-listing?
I know I need to. And so you guys, there's, they have templates. So
They
lots of
added some really good new
templates.
templates that you could
Yeah,
just
that you
copy.
can
A lot of them are like
copy.
high-end California agents, so there's just a ton of assets in these presentations.
I also really quickly wanted to say, has nothing to do with that, but if you guys are looking for like seller guides or marketing guides or different things like that, go to, I don't know how to say it, ISSUU, Isusu or whatever, that they have that's where you can publish your stuff
Sisu?
as like public links. Is it, how do you say it?
Sisu.
Sisu, is that how you say it?
SISU,
No,
Sisu.
ISSU,
different website.
that.
Oh, I don't know.
So you can publish, so it's an app in Canva, but you can also publish different guides and things. So they're public. So I went in there before I developed my marketing guide, and I went in there and found other marketing guides, and I picked and chose stuff that I liked out of each guide. And you can't download them. I don't think you can download them. I just screenshot what I liked. So I had it and then copied it into mine. But there's a lot of public, like high-end, nice, like luxury ones, like all different stuff. So go search on that site if you have time, because there's a lot of great ideas on there.
So what site are you saying that is again?
It's in the chat.
In the chat.
Put it in the chat.
ISSUU.
Okay. Okay.
Somebody asked what the rough estimate price was for,
I know.
you know, I think it's like two.
I think they just their prices are higher than they were when we joined.
Yeah, I want to.
Mine just renewed. Hold on.
Plus.
Hold on, unless I was grandfathered.
You're probably grandfathered in because we got in right away. Oh, $3.99 a year. That sounds
Yeah,
about right.
Not
More
bad.
than it's more than it was. It used to have a 2 in front of it, but I can see why.
Yeah, but let's see, $400 divided by 12 is $33 a month. So if you're using that for your
Ooh.
buyers, sellers,
I paid less. You don't even want to know. Oh, that's the last time. Never mind. It was, yeah, it was 240. Now they've raised the price like $150, but it's worth it.
yeah, I
So
mean, mine went
doesn't
up.
your transaction coordinator send out all that stuff once you guys are under contract?
They do, but I don't feel like it's as in
Not that
depth.
thorough.
And
It's not
I
even
want
close.
it, yeah, I like this because it is so well organized. And one thing that I talk about my buyers and my sellers with is that I'm going to give them things in bite-sized pieces so it's not so overwhelming. So having a template like this, everything is broken down in bits and pieces. So then it's a lot easier to digest than like throwing everything at them in one super long email. Like my TC sends out contingency dates, but it doesn't say like, you know, make sure you turn your, keep your utilities on until then. And it doesn't do this. I mean, I have, Brooke, she sends these out to all of my clients for me. So it's been great. And she just takes my templates and recreates them and does a great job with it. But, that is definitely something that I think has helped a lot with making sure the things that need to be done are done. So
Also, it speaks to your service level too. You know, when people don't know the next step, it makes it kind of like
Oh,
maybe
yeah.
you're not doing your job.
I
you
mean,
know?
yeah, for sure. I agree.
well, the other
100%.
thing that I've been thinking about doing too is creating videos for each of those. So instead
Oh,
of
gosh.
the link there, the photo, like, hey,
We're
you're gonna
already overwhelmed. Stop it.
oh, I know. Like, oh, we're going to be doing appraisal. This is what appraisal is, and kind of just reiterate what's in the text already.
Yeah, it's true.
So then they have that. I
Easy
mean,
video to do.
yeah, and then you could also text that to them too and say, hey, appraisal's been, lender told me appraisal's ordered. Here's a quick video about appraisal. I mean, you could have those in your phone, ready to go, save it to your favorites, and you could just have these videos ready to go. They're going to go out to all your people eventually. You can have one for seller, one for buyer, whatever it is.
I
But
think
it's a great way.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, it's okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say, sometimes I think people forget that people like phone calls, and that's probably like the one thing I stress a lot is just, I think everybody's so text happy, video happy, all of that. Most people I work with are probably older for some reason. They just are. And they're not super tech savvy. And I just think they appreciate so much, just like when you literally pick up the phone and say, hey, I always say, I'm going to hold your hand through the whole process. And, I'm going to let you know every step of the way what comes next. And I'll send out text messages too, but I just always say the importance of picking up the phone and just saying, hey, here's
yeah,
where we're at, and here's what's coming next.
Until you're super busy during the summer and you forget.
It doesn't matter
Well,
because
and I
I
really-
think that's
and
what
I
makes
really
the
do-
biggest
I just-
difference of being
Why
a
not
good
do
agent.
both?
Yeah,
Like just do both,
yeah.
You can do both. I think it is definitely a generational thing though, because I do
Yeah.
a lot of younger clients and they definitely prefer text, but
Mhm.
nobody minds. I mean, shit, some of these younger clients have freaking anxiety when you call them.
Like, oh, should I answer? Why is
They're
he
like,
calling
why is he
me?
calling me?
And too, I mean, you're right though, Cheryl, because a lot of times I'm in that middle where I'm like, sometimes I feel like calling you is going to be way easier to explain this than trying to text it. But when you text people and you're like, hey, can you call me? And then I'll always respond with, it's nothing bad. Everything's okay. Just so then, like they're not panicking while they're at work going, oh my God, something's wrong. So, making sure that there's a little bit of a smiley face or nothing to worry about here. But go ahead, Brooke.
Sorry. I was gonna say, so what I do, because most of my clients are in their 20s, just with my age group. But I actually take my buyer's guide and I break it down because in my buyer's guide, it has every step of the home buying process. So when they hit that step, I send them just that page. So that way they get that in text, so they can just read that page. And then and I don't call them most of the time, but I send voice messages and I'll say, hey, this is me explaining the process that you're currently in. And then I will make sure you hit the save button so it doesn't go away so you can go back and listen to it. Or I say when you're with your parents, you can play it with them. Like that way they have my voice recorded because then a lot of times they're first time home buyers and they get confused. So I don't want them to call me a million times, but they can just re-listen to it. And then I didn't have to sit there and text either. So I can be driving and talking and send it. And then they'll text me all the time, be like, oh, never mind. I just listened to your voice message again. So I like doing the voice messages
Smart.
actually.
Do you get a lot of parents involved, huh? They come
all-
on home inspections.
yeah.
Yay.
Everything I do, it's like I've got the parent on the group text and everything. I'm like, oh my
Oh.
gosh.
Well, yeah, I definitely think that I think you have to read the room, and there's
Yeah.
something that I do too with my sellers. I have a Google, I have one for buyer and sellers. So I have a Google form, and one of the things says like, do you text? And if they say yes, they'll say, is that your preferred method of contact? Or I say, actually, I think my next question is, what is your preferred method of contact? Email, text, phone calls. Most people will mark phone or text. So it depends on the situation. I mean, I have clients right now and the other thing that I will always say is if you are working with a couple, put everybody in a group text. Like I tell people right off the bat, I know group texts are annoying, but we need to be on the same page. I don't want telephone games being played and miscommunication. So we're going to put everybody in a group text. So like right now I have a husband and a wife in a group text. We text all the time. But then I'm also calling and they're calling me. So it just depends on the situation. Like sometimes there are situations that you need to have a conversation. This is not a text conversation. Or I need clarification on something, or they're not understanding the text that I'm sending or vice versa. So then we just say, hey, I'm going to call you really quick. I just want to make sure we're on the same page. Done. Easy. But I also am still in that generation where I didn't have a cell phone until I was 18. So, it's a little bit different. So, either way, there's a lot of stuff that I think you can do in your listing appointments. I think mainly coming prepared, being ready to answer those questions. The one thing we did not touch on, and I know we're already at 120, but commission conversations. So obviously this is a very hot topic right now, very hot topic. And a lot of people now I feel like are pretty well in the know about what's going on. Not everybody. The clients who I've talked to have definitely, they have read up on a lot of the stuff. They understand what commission is like now. So having those conversations, being prepared for how your brokerage handles commission, how your buyer or your listing contract states, like make sure I know for us in Michigan, our EXP listing contract changed. So making sure that I know that contract inside and out, I know what numbers are what is on there. And sometimes I still have to reread it and make sure that I'm fully understanding everything, because as you know, there's so much gray space and gray area in this business that you need to make sure you're understanding the contract so you can explain it to them properly. Having those commission conversations, I don't want to get like too crazy into it. I mean, I think we all have to do what's best for our business, if you're discounting your commission, understanding that maybe you're doing that for a specific reason to get the listing or to, make the seller happy or whatever it might be, or maybe that is a norm in your neighbor in this one area as commission is this certain price. I would just make sure you understand your value and be able to express your value. So when I'm showing up with all my stuff, I'm showing my value. The agent who showed up with nothing, what is she showing to them? What is she, and I'm not saying that that's the norm, but in my opinion, what is that agent who shows up with nothing showing to those sellers? She's not coming prepared. She's not ready. She doesn't have anything to show for herself. How is she going to represent them as an agent? So I think it's just important to show your level of professionalism, know your value, know what you bring to the table. And don't be afraid to stand your ground on certain things. Like, I mean, there are tough conversations. And sometimes if I have to say something that is going to be uncomfortable, I will say, listen, bye, Nikki. I might say, okay, listen, I told you, I promised you honesty. So we just have to talk really quick. The carpets smell like dog. How can we fix this? And I mean, I had a listing that was horrible. Like gaggy, like nasty when you walked into the house. So they moved out and I was like, well, I'm going down the street. It was out west. So I drove out to a Dollar General, bought every kind of carpet spray and cleaner I could. And my son and I saturated the crap out of this carpet with this like Lysol pet smell thing. And we cleaned the carpets and put air fresheners in. And I know that's like a no-no, but this house needed it. And it helped. We sold the house, thank God. But it was, you know, sometimes we have to have tough conversations with people, and sometimes we have to do the extra steps. And that might mean, like, I know Julie has helped people move, and I know, you know, she's hired painters, and we've all given our people. That's the other thing I was going to say, shoot, make sure that you have, like, I always tell people, I have a guy or got a girl for everything. Anything you need. If you need a painter, if you need a contractor, if you need a plumber, I got a guy or I got a girl. I got somebody, I got a person for you. And so, I've actually been, Brooke, we need to work on this. I want to do a vendor list. So after closing, I can send out the vendor list to my clients and say, if you need anything, here's a great painter, here's a great this, here's a great that.
Or in advance. You know, Cheryl's got her video off, but I know she's really good with this. Whether you're just giving them the name, or Cheryl will like facilitate the whole process. And some of this is free and some isn't, right, Cheryl? Like,
Correct.
if you're going to involve someone for, like, you know, decluttering or whatnot, obviously there's a cost involved, but Cheryl's
Yeah.
got a really good list that
I will say that's probably what took everything to the next level with me. It took me probably a couple years to really get who I wanted in place, but that is my whole system. So that is the one thing I do different. And I do believe that's what brings you up in your value of homes when you're going to get those listings, is just having your people. They are my team, and I call them my team, and I can facilitate the whole thing, which now within a handful of time, some of my people have different homes out of state, and I do facilitate the whole thing while they're gone, which obviously takes extra time. But I mean, I have people that pretty much are not even there throughout the entire process from beginning till end. So if I even, you know, bring in my painters or flooring, go to Lowe's myself and schedule all of that out, yeah, it's a longer process, but it also reflects in what you're making off that house. And then just obviously being there for the whole thing, you know, doing videos, showing it to them along the way so they know everything's getting done. And yeah, it makes a big difference.
I guess the bottom line is, what is just giving them less stress, making their life
Mhm.
easier? How are you really their champion in just making this process easy?
And obviously
Mhm.
that's working with people that have that extra money to do it,
Yeah,
you know,
of
too.
course.
And,
It's different for
that's
everybody,
usually
right?
something, you know, that you're talking about at the beginning. Like, how are we going to get you the most money?
With the least amount of hassle.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I think, you know, having those people, like having your stager, having your painter, having all of those things, like, you know, like I said, my marketing team, you know, like you have your vendor list, you have everybody ready to go. I have the same thing. I have contractors who do anything from changing out a light fixture to renovating your kitchen. Like, I got a guy, and he's somebody I went to high school with. And he's very similar personality in the way of, he knows if I'm recommending him, he wants to prove me to be like the best agent. He is really trying to make sure that I leave a good impression on them. So he shows up, he does the job. I always tell people, listen, he's not the most inexpensive, but he's going to show up, and he says he's going to show up, and he's going to do a great job, and he will not cut corners. If you ask him to cut corners, he will say no, he won't even take the job. So he's going to do it the right way, because that's a reflection of him and me. And people love that. They're like, okay, well, that's fine. I'm, you know, happy to do that then. But having like the great painters, I know Dave and we have our painters on call. I have a great painter. He does interior, exterior, you know, he'll go out next day and do a quote for me. He is on the ball, and having those people in your pocket is the best thing that you can possibly do. So, same thing with your title company, making sure that you have a great title company who you know is going to have your back on things, and you know that they're doing a good job. And they're going to, you know, make sure that they're doing everything that they can. That's a really important thing too, to make sure that you have a great connection and relationship with your title company as well. And inspectors. I mean, inspectors, you know, I always give 3 inspectors. I tell them why I'm giving them these 3 inspectors. I tell them who I use the most often and why. And then, you know, they can choose who they want. I always say you could choose whoever you want, but these are my 3 that I recommend. Feel free to choose whoever you want. but, you know, giving them, like, making sure that, you know, they know that, you know, this guy's going to have your back too. If something comes up, he's going to make sure there's a 90-day warranty on this and that and all this stuff. Those are things that people really care about too. So, all right, we went way over today. Is there anything that anybody else wants to chat about or talk about that they do differently, or want any clarification, I think, before we wrap things up?
No, I just made a whole list of things I need to do. I'm overwhelmed. I thought I was pretty thorough, but you're really thorough.
Well, I think these are also things you don't have to have all of these things all
No.
at once, right? So maybe your guide is different. I used to have a digital presentation that I showed, but then you're bringing your laptop, you're opening it
And there's
up.
nothing, you got to have some leave behinds. You definitely,
Yeah,
you have to
so-
remember who you were, especially if they're interviewing other agents. They want to go back to
Now,
it.
I will also say really quick, because I think this is something that's important, I will not leave my marketing guide with them if they're not listing with me. I take it back.
Yeah,
'Cause
don't forget to bring your listing documents too and get the damn thing signed.
Yeah.
Can we talk about
I
that?
will say, hey, you know, if you are still on the fence and you're not really sure, I do want to take my marketing guide, because I don't want this being passed off to somebody else, because this has got all my secret sauce in it. And usually they're like, oh, okay, yeah, that's fine. If you want to leave it here, that's okay. Like, you know, and so, you know, maybe they won't pass that on to somebody else, but I will tell you this. I have been to houses where they have left their folder on the table and I have looked through it. I'm like, do you mind if I just take a peek? And I'm like, okay. Or I've been in a house, I was actually looking at a house up north, in 𝗓𝗏𝗄, and they had their whole listing packets in the cabinet. So I went through it, I took pictures. I was like, I want to see what everyone's doing. Like, I don't have time to read this now, but I want to read it later. But it was nice. Like, I want to see what other people are doing. That's why I like that 𝗡𝗶𝗰𝗇𝗏𝗃 whatever page, because you can see what other people are doing and you can borrow ideas and create your own marketing guide. And I mean, obviously use the stuff that you're doing. Don't lie and say you do things when you don't. So if I tell people, like, if I know that I'm not going to do a video of their house, I'm not going to tell them that we're doing photography and videography, because I don't want them to have that expectation. But I will still, even if I don't do a video, I'll still do a reel. So I'll do my own video footage and do a reel. So then they know that they're at least getting some sort of video marketing, but it's not going to be like the professional video. I just say, I'm going to do a social media reel on your property. And usually they're happy with that. All right. I need to drink some water. I hope you guys have a great day. If you guys have any other questions or anything, let me know. I will put together that little like pre-listing homework that I send out, and we'll put that in the newsletter and send that out to everybody. So if you're not part of the newsletter, make sure you go to the top, go to Modern Agent Blueprints Facebook page. At the top, there's pinned post. One of them is joining the, oh my gosh, mailing list, sorry, newsletter list. If you join the group and you put in your email, chances are you already get that newsletter. If you are not getting it, send me a DM or send Brooke a DM. We're obviously in that group, so you can send us that in there. And we'll make sure that you get on that list, but you can also go right to that pin post and make sure you're on there. But these videos are always going to be uploaded to YouTube, so you can always find them there. I miss when we used to be able to go live in the group, but Facebook took that away from us. But if anybody has anything else, or if you have any other tips or tricks or things that you're like, hey, I saw this and it's working really well, put it in the chat. Or put it in the group. I'd love to see what you guys are doing. All right, everybody have an awesome day. We'll be back next week. We're going to talk about Instagram bios and how to get referrals from other agents. All right, bye everybody. Thanks for coming.
Thanks, Nicole.